Hello, YouTube Internet. This is for the people. This commentary is for the people, like all my commentaries essentially, but this commentary is for the people who've understood that the world is not what it appears to be, which is a very broad subject. You can imagine if we're ever convinced about knowing anything, if we adhere to this notion that the world is not what it appears to be, it gets quite complex. Uh, the feeling that we are, as I've always said, we are a part of a mystery, and this mystery is not a submersive. Yes, it is submersive, but it's not a subversive thing. It is just the nature of existence is that there is such complexity, and we don't understand complexity. So until we do, it's hidden, I suppose. And as you can see, I am working on a few new T-shirts, a concept for the new abnormal, and I suppose people who have kept track of the subversion practiced by the owners will recognize the face. And today, I'm briefly just going to comment with the notion that the world is not what it appears to be on what I call now a soul extraction. The soul is being extracted, which is interesting. Recently, there have been some videos made about this very despicable person called Abramovich, who calls herself an artist. She's not an artist. She's a woman of spectacle, theater, theater of the absurd. No, not even as good as that. Theater of the insane, the theater of the insane Abramovich, who did a video on what she called spirit cooking. And this has been interpreted in many different ways. And it's very appropriate. I think that she has her finger on the pulse, not because she understands the mystery, but she is following the script, which is being unrolled with great patience. I must say, if we look into history and we think about Chinese history and the dynasties, how long they lasted, and even the plans, the political plans, the manipulation over long periods of time. We're talking millennia almost, some maybe even millennia, for sure, centuries and decades, but the plan as it's being unrolled, and I will say it's not spirit cooking, but it's soul extraction under the new abnormal. It has been indicated in many, through so many different vehicles. If we look at science fiction writers and people who have understood that we're in a world that we don't really understand, and as the soul is being extracted, fewer and fewer people are interested in understanding how the world is not what it appears to be, and attempting at least giving it a good stab during a lifetime of experiences to get a little bit more of a sense what is going on around us. But there are the level of undermining has reached such an enormous success, the success in the undermining of the soul, the extracting of the soul, which ultimately will lead to zero resistance without what we would call, and I suppose I'd have to identify soul. Let me just say that, well, it's the greatest part of the mystery, what is understood to be soul. We don't have a soul, we are the soul. That's how it could be understood. We are a part of a mystery, and we are a soul within this mystery. And the soul takes, if you take eternity into consideration, then the soul, of course, assumes different aspects within this realm of existence, whatever that might be when we talk about eternity, which I have a romance with eternity. And it's important. I think it's very important to the extent whether or not people listen. I get very few views, and I find it quite entertaining and hilarious how people that get huge numbers of views actually have some kind of hubris about, oh, I have an effect, I have an effect. Well, I guess it could be debated. I could be debated to what extent I know that I'm influenced by the world around me, but my changes come because of an inner directive, something that happens within me rather than something that comes from without. It's always something that happens within that causes me to think of something differently and change. And I'm influenced, but ultimately the change happens from within, not from being told anything from outside. This is why, you know, the world in the alternative media, the world appears to be very powerful. But look at something like the lines in the sky, what is called chemtrails, how ineffective, how totally ineffective we've been. Or something on the, my epic concern is the nuclear question, the fact that we are being poisoned by invisible radiation, something we can't see, but ultimately will have a far-reaching effect on all life as we understand it, because we know that the nuclear toxicity goes right to the DNA level, which is the intent. When you're extracting soul, you want to go to the microscopic elements of us. And because the white coats are very materialistic, they think in terms of DNA. And personally, I think the soul is much more far-reaching than ending at the microscopic level on a DNA level. There is something so encompassing about this concept of soul. I said I was going to identify or try to explain it somewhat. For me, the soul is intricately connected to my inner world, obviously, and also the extent to which I can embrace the mystery. The soul is that part in a human being, or probably other life forms, the extent to which that being, we as beings, can embrace the mystery, rather than trying to manipulate and ride this horse that's bucking us, it's throwing us off all the time. It's being part of something. How, to the extent that we can be a part of something. This is my explanation of the mystery. And in the new abnormal, we are now confronted with a concerted effort to extract the soul that will allow us to be a part of something. And we may replace it with groups. People like to belong. People like to belong to groups, whether it's through religion or sports or some kind of social club or a clan or a country or the race you identify with. We always have this proclivity. I feel it in myself to belong, to sit in a pub and have a discussion about the things I'm doing with other people and exchange ideas. This is all very natural. But what is unnatural in the belonging part of it is we'll do anything to belong. And the aberrations happen when people feel totally rejected by anyone or anything. They become dysfunctional. Unless you have a mission. Like I sometimes say, well, why am I not, I am dysfunctional in some ways, but why am I not unhappily dysfunctional? Is because I feel I'm on a mission. I think there is something within me I recognized fairly early on in my teens that there was something within me that I wanted to express, and I pursued this in terms of the visual, the painting part of things, and expressing myself. So I am a part of something regardless of a clan or a club or anything. I'm a part of something, but I'm also a social being, and I like being, I used more than now. I prefer to be by myself most of the time, because not because I don't want to interact with people, but because the satisfaction isn't there. When we're dealing with someone whose soul is being extracted and they allow it, it makes it very difficult to have a relationship, to have an interaction. And this is happening. People complain about this on YouTube all the time, how you speak to your family and they're like aliens from another planet, for example, or friends that look at you funny because you're saying, well, the world is not as it appears to be, and it is more likely this way than that way. So this is crucial now, what is happening with the medical lockdowns and the medical, as is being called, the medical martial law, which could very easily develop into a full-fledged martial law, then of course the final extraction will have taken place with compliance. And it is so crucial not to comply. This is the essence of our being, not to comply, but to verify. And if you're going to comply, it's after verification, but not to accept something that somebody says, like, so many people are dying. Well, show me the corpses and show me all the people, the families that are grieving for their lost loved ones. Where is that happening? I'm not seeing it. And all the hospitals supposedly are full, and no one is getting medical care. So the story that we're being given is meant ultimately to extract the soul for complete and total compliance. That's what's happening, and it's escalating. And now this morning I heard that masks, the things that are like putting on flip-flops on the beach to try and keep the sand off your feet, this is masked. I mean, when you just rashly, and people have gone through this, there are beautiful analysis about all of this. Andrew Kaufman, a doctor that I appreciate his voice, he has some degree of expertise within this virology, epidemiology, whatever it's called. People like even A Plain Truth, who's back under A Plain Truth 5. I recommend. I had a bit of a problem with the guy, but he's so erudite on analyzing and understanding how we're being hoodwinked with all of these directives. And the flaw in these people is they think they can actually affect change. What you can affect is your own change. This is something I appreciate the channels mostly that in some way or other reflect themselves in what it is they're transmitting to me in their videos. Like if you look behind me, you see paintings I'm working on. This is part of my video. That's why I do it in my studio, so that you have a sense of I am not just blah, 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 do as I say, not as I do, but I actually try to understand myself through the work that I do. So we are entering a crucial phase. I'm kind of like more keeping track of things and feeling empowered to do anything within the world, the external world. There are no more shows happening. It's being shut down. Any of the art, any of the meaningful art, not the Abramovich art, but any of, or Koons or Hearst or Schnabel or the mainstream propagated art is not what it is that is going to give us this insight that we need about the world not being as it appears to be. They're clever. They're very clever in their techniques and their spectacle. But this is being removed. Even that part of the expression that appears to be out there is being removed as well. This is gone as well. It's not just the fabulous artists that are usually never paid attention to that are not having an opportunity, but even the charlatans are now even cut out of the equation. So the system is completely shutting down, extracting the souls one by one. As the souls fall by the wayside, as people give up their right to determine themselves in a very personal way. This is being given up. This is the extraction. Never mind all the directives and the rules, what Caesar is up to right now. Jesus said, give unto Caesar. Yes, of course, but at a certain point, you cannot give unto Caesar. You have to take yourself, I have to take myself more seriously than I would take Caesar on any level. And this is something that is systematically being eroded. And I would differ. I think in this parable, as much as I appreciate the character Jesus, he was wrong to give unto Caesar. He was referring to it in the ultimate through the eyes of eternity, through the eyes of understanding, or talking to the people that have understood the world is not what it appears to be. In that world, just give to Caesar what Caesar wants. But at a certain point, if there is a future, a meaningful future, we need to claim our souls and not let them be extracted, which means not to comply. Or if you do comply, make damn sure what it is that you've decided to comply with aligns itself in its true nature to the soul that we have. Okay, so this is in a series of the new abnormal. My t-shirts are being produced. I'm producing my t-shirts, and let's see what happens. I thought I'd chime in. It's important. It's important.